After I have managed to climb the Mount Everest, that was the final apogee of a very long preparation period. I mean, ever since I was a teenager, Everest has always been this splendid, outstanding goal, a big goal. So after that, I was seeking for something more, something to reach for, something to prepare for, something that probably no one has ever done before. And when, in the summer of 2018, Sasha Abramov visited me, I mean, he's the person who got me addicted to the mountains in the first place. He's an incredible alpine climber. He's very good at organizing all of these expeditions. Only this year, he's climbing the Everest for 12th or 13th time. So we were sitting and discussing, and he really loved this idea of devising something that's different from what he has been doing as well. And quite independently, when we met the next time, he actually came up with the same idea that I had. Traveling around the globe, but not alongside the longitude, but alongside the latitude, across the two poles. That's something that has never been done before, and it's actually quite hard to do. And we decided to drive. Without using planes, drive cars without leaving the ground or, well, the water. We're either driving or just taking a ship. Ronald Finus did it in a way, but no one has done it only driving cars without using any other modes of transportation and crossing both poles in one go, while only driving wheeled vehicles. Well, as far as Antarctica goes, it's pretty straightforward. Well, not to mention other continents. However, the team approached me because for quite a while now, I've been designing amphibian vehicles. Those are cars specifically designed to drive down the drifting ice of the Arctic Ocean. Those vehicles are tested and tried, and they have traveled to the North Pole already. So they invited me to participate, and things kind of got going. We're gonna be driving 3 types of vehicles. Emil is in charge of the first 2 types. Those are continental vehicles, the Fords, and Arctic trucks, which we will be driving in the northern part of Canada and, of course, Antarctica.
We did do our first international expedition in 1996. This was in Antarctica. We sent 2 cars with the Swedish scientific program to Vasa, actually, in Antarctica. And they drove up to the Antarctica plateau, did 3,000 kilometers, did some drilling, and they did some scanning of the ice shelf. And so this is basically the background of our first expedition. We crossed Greenland in '99, and then the big one, or the most famous one, was when we take Top Gear to the magnetic North Pole from Resolute to the 1996 magnetic North Pole. From this, we started in Antarctica again, and since then we've been in Antarctica, and we've covered 371,000 kilometers on the Antarctica plateau. So our experience there is second to none, I would say. And in Antarctica, we are doing well in terms of fuel consumption and speed. So compared to the traditional expeditions that people are doing, like on the belt vehicles, our estimate is 5 to 10 times less fuel and 3 to 5 times faster. And time and fuel is like gold in Antarctica.
So we will be driving Emil's cars in Antarctica. But as we continued working, Emil also took charge of maintenance and preparation of continental vehicles.
Our role was quickly we take the Arctic and we take the Antarctica. But as we've been working on, we things are getting kind of mixed up, so we're getting involved with everything. and there are more people coming into it. Our cars don't float, so we will not go to the North Pole. So we have another, and there's another program on the Himalayas, which are excellent, very, very capable vehicles for these things.
This is our third generation of vehicles that we have been constantly improving. And I believe that now we can say for sure that the design has been quite polished and it's ready for such a tough journey. We will be starting from the Isles of the Archipelago in the northern Canada, from Cambridge Bay, up to the North Pole, driving on the drifting ices of the Arctic Ocean. Further, down from the North Pole we'll cross Greenland. Yelagin designed this car, tailor-made this car so that it could reach the North Pole. It's specifically geared for that. And I should tell you that with any other vehicle of this class and functionality, well, the amphibian vehicle per se, there are issues that have not been solved. Like, for example, all of them are heavy. One of the problems that Yelagin solved with Yemele is the weight. It's as light as possible, because this car is meant to drive on the ice, and Yelagin fixed many other things, specifically for Antarctica. Well, what does Yemele stand out in the crowd among competition in the class? Well, first of all, weight. We're twice lighter than the competition. Of course, we worked a lot for that. The bodies were assembled using aviation-grade riveting. 15,000 holes, 15,000 rivets in every body. And we did it all by hand, since every car is custom-built to order. But it was all worth it. 4 men can easily pick up the body of this car and carry it by hand in a workshop. The weight is less than 300 kilograms. We used aviation-grade duralium for the body, and it's only 1 millimeter thick. The car can float, and chair in the cake, it's the house on wheels.
So if I explain a little bit the Transglobal vehicle group or teams. So we have 3 types of vehicles. We have what we call the continental vehicles, continental crossing vehicles. These are vehicles that are slightly bigger tires, modified to have things for your convenience in driving, if it's on a highway in America or if it's on a bad road in Africa. But basically nothing extreme for these vehicles. They will be accompanied by one that has a bigger conversion, which is a hybrid, which is very interesting for us to try a hybrid around the world. This is the F-150 hybrid. It's converted for 44-inch tires. It's already driven up in the Arctic. And it's an F-150. This car is going to give us more insight into running this all around the world. So these are 5 vehicles. And their role is to drive from New York to Yellowknife, from Reykjavik in Iceland to the east of Iceland, and then again from Denmark to Cape Town, and then from Punta Arenas in Chile up to New York again. Then we have the second team, which are called Himalayas. These are vehicles that are developed by Vasily Yelagin. These vehicles are basically built from scratch by his clever mind and experience in polar explorations. 6x6 with more categorized like an ATVs. These are not vehicles meant for street use, or they're not, their beauty is they are super light, and they also are very capable, but they also require a very special knowledge for operation and driving. So you need a very specific team. This team is going to take the group from Cambridge Bay in Canada all the way to the North Pole, down to Greenland, and then along the Greenland ice cap to where we can exit, which will be Sisumit in Greenland. And so then the third group is are the 6x6 Arctic trucks F350 new cars that we are developing. And their first role is going to take them from Yellowknife to Cambridge Bay. And then again, they are going to take them across all the crossing that is done in Antarctica, which is likely going to be about 5,000 to 8,000 kilometers.
You understand, lately there have been too many unpredictable and unexpected events that made us delay the beginning of the expedition. Pandemic, then the war in Ukraine. So it's been almost 5 years since the moment we devised this idea, so we have been moving quite gradually. And it's been a long way of preparation, so I think now we can say that we have a few dedicated areas of responsibilities, and of course, as a result of kind of a natural selection, there are a few people responsible for those. Alexei Prudkov, who is in charge of all of the communications, technical supervision and maintenance, computers, IT, connectivity, and he will be in charge of establishing and running the kind of a mission center for the drive when we will be on the road. 24/7, that mission control will have to support us. Of course, there's an incredible amount of detail related to ride planning, route designing, bookings, border crossing, tickets, hotels, you name it. But all of those arrangements must be done by somebody. So we have Cedric, who is in charge of that. It's a long drive. Cedric has been designing it in detail for almost a year now. It's a real-time, non-stop immersion because during the continental crossings, we will be sleeping every night in a new place. Another team member, Misha Bulgach, when he found out about the expedition, he really wanted to help somehow. Well, eventually I asked him, since he has a lot of experience in that area, I asked him to arrange the transportation of Yemelas, those amphibian vehicles that were at that moment produced in Russia in the city of Yekaterinburg. So I asked Misha to transport those cars to our starting point in Canada. There's this town in the north of Canada called Yellowknife, and it's a bigger deal than you may think, especially during the pandemic that was roaring back then. It literally took us 6 months to transport the vehicles. You must prepare, you must do the thing, and the vehicles must be delivered for a particular date when we were supposed to be starting the test drive. Misha really loves the project. He's been helping a lot with preparation of cars, maintenance, equipment, in a very professional way. Another team member, Zurab Sanikidze, has been helping with most of the issues in Canada for us. Well, Alexei Safonov is my friend. We have conquered a lot of mountain peaks together. He is an avid traveler and is a very reliable partner who is very comfortable to work with. And when we came up with the idea, he said, "Put me on the list, and where do I sign up for this?" Sergei Larin. We first met with Sergei when he was leading the expedition to the Aconcagua mountain in the South America. So he is the mountain guide, and he has tremendous experience of expeditions, and in particular, autonomous expeditions. But most importantly, he's a medical expert who can provide first aid in almost any circumstances, which is particularly important when you are in the middle of nowhere. He's also a very reliable and experienced partner, a very calm and confident person, very meticulous, by the way, which is exceptionally important in such a long expedition. Andrew came on board, a very prominent racer. He was very excited about the project. He's a beautiful person. He's great at communications.
My involvement with a round-the-world car expedition really started about 10 years ago as I was retiring from car racing, and I wanted to put together a challenge, a new challenge for me, to do about the hardest thing you could do with cars. And for me, that was to drive from one of the Earth's poles to the other completely on the surface, a wheeled challenge to go from one end of the world to the other. And so I did a lot of research, talked to a lot of people from Antarctic experience with Arctic experience, and also through the Darien jungle between Panama and Colombia. Put it all together, made budgets, talked to TV networks, talked to auto manufacturers, but we never quite got it over the line. We never quite got the money together. So then about 2 years ago, Emil Grimson from Arctic Trucks, who I had met when I was working on Top Gear, the car TV show, and he had engineered the episode where the Top Gear host ran from Resolute to the magnetic North Pole, and other episodes that we worked with him on also. We became friendly in my research, and so he called me a couple of years ago and said, you know, Andrew, that idea of yours to drive from pole to pole, well, somebody's going to do it, and in fact, they're going to go all the way around the world. So I should probably introduce you, and he did. And about 18 months ago, I began discussions with the Transglobal Car group to be involved, and in fact became sort of a main expedition member and a media spokesperson or host for the media. And I didn't get a confirmation that I would be on the expedition until only about 2 or 3 weeks before this Canadian pretest of the Transglobal Car Expedition. So it was a bit of a rush in the end, but it worked out really, really well. And I'm extremely excited to be here because in order to do something like this, you have to do it with the commitment and the scale and the investment and the relationships to make it truly viable. Safe, possible, but also to celebrate the spirit of adventure and exploration that's involved.
I must speak about Christian Haas, a prominent glaciologist. We met in 2013. He equipped us with the ice meter. Christian trained us in detail on how to use it to measure the thickness of ice and the depth of the snow coverage throughout the entirety of our drive.
I'm Christian Haas. I'm a geophysicist from Germany, and I'm doing the ice thickness measurements here. So this is the ice meter, an EM31, and it works by induction. So there is a transmitter coil over here and a receiver coil over here, and the transmitter coil creates the electromagnetic field that goes into the water and comes back up. We can measure the thickness of the sea ice because the ice is floating on seawater, and the seawater underneath is salty, and we can detect the difference between the ice and the water.
It goes without saying that during such an expedition, we must avoid technical errors as much as possible. That's why we decided to host 2 test drives to make sure that we are ready on the technical part. We were dealing with new vehicles. In addition, Yelagin made a few tweaks on Yemelas. We needed to check the crew, check that we can actually work together. I mean, of course, we needed to prepare the cars, but we also needed to prepare ourselves. That's why it was a very good idea to host 2 test drives. We didn't have a final decision on which car we shall be driving on a particular chunk of the road. So we had both Yemelas and Arctic Trucks driving side by side. We needed to understand what are the advantages of disadvantages of either and make a final decision.
We're at the Buffalo Air hangar. All the gears just arrived in trucks. It's Yellowknife. Doors are opening, we're making room. And around the airplanes, we'll prepare the Emilias, we'll prepare the Arctic trucks, and then we'll get ready to load up and go. Very bitterly cold morning here in Nunavut.
This happened about a year ago. When we were driving back, one of the Arctic trucks broke through the ice and fell under the water. Fortunately, there were no casualties and no one was hurt. Well, I'd hardly call this story a blessing in disguise, but we had a chance to test our emergency procedures.
The two Arctic trucks left Resolute to head back south, separate from the rest of the expeditions. And I got a message from Mission Control, Emil Grimson, that one of the vehicles had broken through the ice. And that led to a lot of changes. The first thing is I woke up Vasilia Login, another main team member, and we started to strategize about what to do from our end in Resolute Bay. How quickly could we get vehicles to them to support what's necessary? At the same time, the guys who'd had the problem on the ice were communicating by satellite to Mission Control and Emil about their situation. When the sun came up, they used an ice pick, a specialized ice pick that we use to break up ice blocks if we need to find the good ice around them. And on three sides, one side they had open water, and on two other sides they had thin ice. On one side they had good ice. Unfortunately, that led to a small island amongst the Tasmanian Islands. So they worked the truck over there and got it up on the surface, prepared a landing area for the helicopter, and were extracted later in the morning.
So now we're almost right at where the vehicle went through. So we're looking for holes in the ice. Even this here, we're starting to look for places where the tracks might have broken through for the trailer of the first vehicle. We're very close to where the vehicle went in, very close. Anton, what is the ice thickness now?
About 1 meter.
A half?
One meter.
Okay. That's it. That's light water. That's where it went.
Where is the water?
That's where it went. See the shade? Lighter? Right there, right in front of us. That's it. So it's right in front of us. You can see there's a lighter, a darker colored water. There's a bar across us, which is very thin ice, and I can see the broken ice where the vehicle went in. It's about 100 meters in front of us, right there.
Ice thickness 2 feet.
Oh yeah, there it is right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is very thin ice. It's not surprising they went through, and it's not surprising maybe they didn't see it, because if the light wasn't good, it's just a lighter color. And right here, right there is where the truck went in.
What had happened, now we know, the lead vehicle, which was actually the heavier vehicle, was a bit ahead and probably cracked the ice very slightly. And the second vehicle came along to the same area, broke through. The guys were able to step out of the vehicle very quickly. They were very quick thinking. They're all experienced guides and experienced expeditioners. And in fact, on board was our local guide who knew a lot about the ice and had very quick reflexes. So he and one of the Icelandic guys stepped out of the vehicle. And Torfi, the Icelandic guy, who's actually very light and very agile, had the presence of mind to jump onto the back of the vehicle and start throwing bags off of it so they'd have more supplies for the night, literally as the vehicle was going down. They estimate they had between 45 seconds and a minute as the vehicle went down.
You can see it here. The ice is more wet. If we walk just a little bit over there, you'll see that it's drier there. You can see the opening, the trace over there. Just there. And if you fly the drone, I think you'd be able to very easily identify the area.
So we found the truck. It's right here. It's laying on its side, and it's only about, I'm gonna say 5 or maybe 10 meters down. The doors are closed. It's on its left side, and it looks beautiful. It's a big fish. It's a big shipwreck. I can see there's a lot of current under the water here. That's what an F-150 looks like under the Arctic Ocean.
Well, water there is quite shallow, and we decided that we must pick up the vehicle. We must get it out. Of course, it's about the mission and the image of the expedition. I mean, it's the North. So many areas of nature preservation. Even attitude to our expedition was sometimes very controversial because of the ecological issues. Of course, it's the North and we must avoid any kind of pollution. So without any further ado, we talked to the guys and we decided that we must do it.
So in the spirit of Transglobal, and showing responsibility and to environment and others, we evaluated very quickly, can we go and get the car back up. We had considered a number of options, sailing there with a ship, lifting, with balloons lifting the car up and moving it out and taking up with a bigger ship with a crane. In the end, we selected to do this with a helicopter, mainly because we were concerned about the ice conditions. The May 22 was quite a lot. It was more than 2018, and 2018 this area never became really ice-free. So we opted on doing a helicopter, which had to come many thousands of kilometers away to go there and send people on the island, leaving them there and doing an operation, lifting operation, and it was a very good teamwork, and it went so well.
Yeah. There's something. Yeah, you see it? Yeah, we got it. It's here. We got it.
First of all, we lifted it to the surface of the water with special kind of inflatable balloons. Then we hoisted it onto the shore.
Let's get it further up.
It's bad.
Nothing.
What is this? My water bottle with the cover that I made.
With what? Some whiskey. Pea bottle.
We cleaned it, we pulled out of it everything that we could, and that was a lot, by the way. The helicopter arrived, picked it up, and took it away.
Yeah, they're here. Am I glad to see them now?
This is amazing.
Having made 54 pages report with plan B and C and plan A, 1 and 2, and if the weather was like this, if this would be, what would we do? And then plan A just goes smoothly through all the way, and it was beautiful, and pretty proud of that operation.
It's the deep north, and arranging all of this in the middle of the snow desert, it's not as easy as it seems and requires a lot of effort.
Part of our Transglobal Expedition, that's kind of super interesting. We wanted to get out of Antarctica. And getting out of Antarctica without flying people out is super complicated. You have to get it with a ship. So we were looking at McMurdo or some other place which is has a lot of traffic. But of course, to make the timing was difficult with it. And ships normally will go through New Zealand to there. So we decided, let's go through the peninsula. So we started looking at places in the peninsula, where can we go out, and after a long study we find a place called Cape Jeremy. That's just our target. So we decided to do a test drive, or test if we can go there. is Antarctica. The first thing that comes to mind, this is very, very big. Compared to anything else that I know, it's very little explored. And then it's super expensive. If you go deep field, it is absolutely so expensive. We were really starting to worry on how do we do this expedition, because we were burning up our time on the other end when we would have to return and finish the expedition. So when we came down here, we a little bit in the dark of what we will find, what the conditions will be on the cars. We are a little bit bare, I would say. We're just kind of like in the middle of nowhere. Having to dig up the vehicles, and all the old equipment is on the vehicles. First phase is basically to evaluate the situation, see the conditions of the vehicles. The next thing is to try to get ourselves some kind of a shelter to work with. Done this, we can start moving the cars and getting air into the tires, and so they can run. So, and the next step when we are doing this maintenance and when we get the parts is to get expedition ready. We're gonna go around here and try to find a new exit, Margarita Bay, Cape Jeremy, so it can be exited by a ship. So that's the plan. After leaving, the first task we had, and we were kind of concerned, was to go through a place called Hewitt Pass. So we go through the mountain range of Ellsworth mountain range, or part of them, and to get up to the plateau. Once we get up, started to go up to the plateau, we lost all visibility, it came wide out, and we kind of drove in the dark until we just came straight to the fuel barrels following the GPS coordinates. When we came onto a bit better snow and it got more even, then we were really happy watching the mountains and driving 45 kilometers an hour, which is kind of pretty good in this place. And it lasted for some time, and then we hit sastrugi. And I've never experienced such a long, big area with continuous sastrugi. And unfortunately, we needed to travel 90 degrees on how the wind had formed the sastrugi, and this is slow. So last night we drove throughout the night. We also took the liberty and stopped to enjoy the solar eclipse.
So there's a solar eclipse happening. I don't know when last time in Antarctica, solar eclipse, but usually it's as bright as the middle of the day. It's sunny, but now it's really dark, like it's sunset almost. So that's pretty special.
We've been driving for 15 hours, and of course we are now in early morning, the 4th of December, and we knew about the solar eclipse. So when we start seeing that happening, we decided to just go and cook, have some dinner, enjoy our time, and what's the view? Where's a better view than here?
Not a single car has ever reached the shore there. There were dog sled expeditions, but that's it.
Hi.
How you doing, guys?
Good.
Coffee?
We find someone. We are not alone.
Yeah, yes, we just accidentally bumped into a tractor train from BAS, this Antarctic survey. They're on the way down to the cache we saw earlier. We drove by yesterday, and it was kind of funny to see all in the middle of nowhere people, and they invited us to come in and talk, and we had a quick stop. They were very surprised to see us coming out of nowhere. So it's funny.
Unfortunately, we were not very lucky with the weather. There was too much snow, wet snow. Old-timers of the Union Glacier camp, they were saying that they have not seen such a strong and snowy and heavy blizzard for at least 15 years.
Conditions were really tough, and in the end we basically didn't have enough fuel to continue. We turned around about 230 kilometers, I think, from our target destination. The expedition proved more or less that we can do this expedition at least 40 kilometers to Cape Jeremy. There are crevices there that we hope to explore, but plan B now for us is that the team might have to walk last 40 kilometers.
The results show that unless there's a very heavy blizzard and very deep snow, we're gonna make it. We have not yet, but now we know. The hardest part of the expedition is, of course, the North Pole, because it's not Earth, it's water. And from that you can infer the entire list of problems. Not to mention the lack of connectivity, absence of safety and security systems. It's very difficult to deliver fuel and supplies. Apart from Yemela, there's no car that can drive there. It's cold. It's very high level of humidity. There will be a lot of open water in blistering cold. We will encounter ice ridges, which are quite sizable on the Canadian side. But the main problem that I see is getting over the drift divide. That's about 85th, 86th degree of latitude. This is the place where two huge ice plateaus that are moving in the opposite directions clash with one another. In a way, it is a slowly floating river that is clogged with chunks of ice. You can call it an obstacle course of 200 or 300 meters wide. So the drivers will be constantly putting together this puzzle when the pieces of ice come together and the cars can pass over from one chunk of ice to the next one. It's not that the chunks are particularly small. They can be about 100 square meters or even more. But if we get stuck while getting over this obstacle course, well, we can easily get squashed. Well, not we, but the cars. And it's not happening immediately. I mean, people will be able to get out, take their emergency packages, we'll be ready with that, but of course we'll have to kiss our cars goodbye. Probably to the great delight of our videographer. The scene will be dramatic. It's very important for the team to be psychologically equipped to stay for extended periods of time in this very long temperatures outside. We'll have to walk a lot. First, we'll have to be looking for passages in ice ridges. We'll have to break ice with ice picks to work our way through, because eventually even our cars will not be able to pass. But I believe the most important problem is that it will be like spending 3 months on a submarine together. A self-contained group of people. Yes, we do sleep in different cars, but we're constantly together, working, seeing each other. I think it's a big issue of psychological compatibility, which is always a challenge. This project is special because, first and foremost, no one has ever done this before. Only driving cars through the poles of the Earth non-stop. No one has ever done this, and that is exciting, doing something that has never been done. We're living in this world of constant imitation. Everything is just a substitute of something. People claim to have done something amazing. Everyone picks it up, starts yelling that it's special, unique, etc. But you just look at the sheer number of visits to the North Pole. This number says for itself. Of course, we are ambitious, but ambition drove every great explorer, be it Dr. Livingstone or Robert Scott or Robert Peary, you name it. Sidov, Amundsen, and down the list. It goes without saying that this adventurous enterprise needs some luck. It's not as easy as it seems. If it were easy, everybody would just be rolling around in golf carts there.
This has a lot of interesting challenges, a lot of things that nobody knows how to deal with, and that inspires. And we will try to do it in the best possible way, for as much, in a very sensible way, and learn from it. If we can give something good from us, that's a big bonus. I really wanted to see some science. So can we bring knowledge between places? When somebody knows, okay, you're gonna be there, you'll be able to take scientific evidence, we can take measurements. Fantastic. Nobody's been there. Now we can do it. I say the purpose is good, just to do the expedition, solve all the issues that are there. But we're getting more, and we're gonna give more from us.
We will be driving together for over a year. And of course, human component is essential. People should stay healthy, and of course, psychological relationships in the team are also very important. I see this team and, well, based on my life experience, I see that these people can do it. Psychologically, physically. It's gonna be hard, but they can make it.